In this video, we're going to cover the slab tool. And the slab tool is really versatile and really easy to use. Let's click over here and take a look. We have a couple geometry methods. We can do freeform, rectangular, rotated rectangle. I'm just going to throw this onto house, floor, slab on grade. I'm going to choose a slab that's just structural concrete. I'm going to make this 4 inches. Elevation of 0 to the top. I can either do the top or to the bottom. I'm going to leave a vertical edge. My building materials, I'm not going to override. I'm just going to leave the structural concrete. And so there's not too many choices here, and it's easy to use. Now this layer's off, so as soon as I start, it's going to ask me if I want to show the layer, and I will. And basically a slab is just like a fill. Now this one, let's go in here and look at some more settings. This one had a cover fill, and I'm going to turn that off and show you what happens. So then we just have this fill with, and we don't have a control over, well, here we do. We have the cut lines, uncut lines. So this is an uncut line. So it's solid, and it's pen number 9. You can tell it's sort of a brown color. And we can manipulate this exactly like we did a fill. It really is just a fill. It just happens to have a third dimension, which we'll look at in just a second. Now that cover fill that was on initially, if we click this here, we can cover it with any of these vectorial hatches that we'd like to use, or one of my favorite things to do is create a image fill. And we had this wood floor, and we want to leave this blank, so we want to use the wood floor as the image. And when we do that, it's using the fill from our, that is the vector fill. Well, it's using a fill to cover the surface in 2D. When we go to 3D, now I'm going to select this only and hit F3, so I just see that. Oh, that didn't work. Shift F3 rather. And you notice that cover fill doesn't show up in 3D because the cover fill is only a 2D phenomenon. If we want to change this material in 3D, then we need to override the surface if we don't want to use the structural gray or the gray from the structural concrete. And then I can make this anything I want. Now, sometimes I do want to make it the same as the cover fill. And I don't know which one that is, but let's pretend it's not that. There you go. So that is now part of the 3D, and I'm overriding just the top. If I want to override all of them, I can link those, and now I'm getting that same material all around. So the cover fill is only for 2D, and the fill, the surfaces in 3D are surfaces. And if I want them to be the same, then I'd have to create a fill and a surface that are using the same texture and all the same settings, which is not that hard to do, but you have to go through the process of doing that. And you also have an opportunity to use composites, and I just have a couple here. I'm using a similar convention as before, where I have plywood, 11 7/8 thick is my framing. And if I turn these off, that surface is not showing. Apparently I have a library issue. That's what happens when you have a library issue. As you can see, I have the upper 3/4 plywood, and then I have something that represents my framing. We'll get into building materials and how all of those relate to one another in a different video. But this gives you an idea of how that works. I can do some manipulation in 3D. I can, do all my edge modifications. I can do offsetting. I can create holes, but I think it's actually easier to go back into 2D. And to create a hole in a fill or in a slab, you have two choices. The easiest is to have the slab selected, and then with the slab tool on, just draw inside the slab, and that hole becomes a part of the slab. If I want to just delete the hole, I can hit Shift, select just the hole and delete it, and it's gone, but it leaves the original fill. If I go back to Shift F3, I have my hole in here. Going back into 2D, I can use all my tools. I can change the edge settings. And then a new tool that becomes available. Let me copy this, F9. Copy it up. So I have 2. So I just wanted to have something to see from reference. F12 is elevate, and I can just hit a value, and that moves it up exactly 2 feet. F12 minus 3 inches. And this is something I use all the time. In that elevate command works for all 3-dimensional. So take advantage of that. That's a great little feature. Now, if I want to draw a slab around this house, I have some choices. Let's see what it does. Okay, so there I'm on the edge of the building. I hit the space bar with the slab tool with the current settings, and now I have something I didn't expect. Didn't know that roof is there. I have a slab that is following the outline of my building. So it's a great way to, so you can either start with drawing a slab and then draw walls over it, or vice versa, like I just did. And if this needs to be a little thicker, I can set that up. And, here's my stucco overhanging the slab, which is a common scenario. And that was really simple. Slabs are great. And the other thing I'll show you is how to use slabs. I'll go ahead and I'll just turn this layer off. So right mouse, layers, hide layer. And I'm going to draw on the house furniture layer. And I'm going to just show you how you might create a table. Not like that. Okay, so I'm just going to go, first dimension is 44 inches. Second dimension is 72 inches. There's a table. I'll go ahead and turn off the cover fill. And I'm going to set the tabletop to 2 inches. And I want this to be 29 inches from the top. Good. And I can either override the material. I'll just make this a pine top. And then I copied the properties. I'll put my cursor there, and I'm going to go X1 inch, Y minus 1 inch. That starts my box here, and I want a 1 3/4 leg by 1 3/4 leg. And then I'm going to make this, the top of it, go from 29 minus 2 inches. So I'm going to go 2'3". I'm going to make the height of the leg 2'3". Now when I go to 3D, if I did that right, I have a table leg. And then I can just mirror this here, select them both, and mirror them again. And I've created a table. So the slabs, don't get stuck thinking of slabs as, slabs or floors, but slabs are anything where their profile is the same in plan, and you can extrude them up to any height. And I use this all the time for all sorts of things, from backsplashes to countertops. I do, so if I take a slab and, I've actually modeled specific cabinet parts. Let's see. 3 feet, 0.75 inches, dimension 2. And I'll make this 30 inches. Use the building. That's a good time when you may want to limit your 3D to just that element. And now I may make this 2-5, F9, copy those properties, and go 0.75 inches, 14 inches. I'm just showing you this to kind of clear your mind of any preconceived notions of what a slab looks like. I'm going to take the properties of this tabletop and put them in here. And I'm going to lift this up to the top, take this and drop it to the bottom. Take the whole thing, and I think I need to elevate it 2 inches the way I did it. And now I'll go F3, and I've made myself a little cabinet that's sitting on the floor. If I wanted to make that a shelf, I could F9 that and just click in place, and then F12 and move a shelf up. And I can move the shelf in on the 3 sides. So the shelf is actually inside the carcass. And I've made myself a little bookshelf, and it's easy to make this, you know, significantly taller. I can go into 3D, use my pet palette, pull this up, copy the properties, boom, boom, do multiply, which we did in 2D, but here I can do it as well. And I'm going to do a spread. I'm going to put a shelf every 16 inches. You know, however, I'm just roughing this out just to give you some ideas. And it's like, oh, you know what, I want to take all these, highlight them, and I want to move all those up 6 inches. Like, oh, wow. Okay, so I made a very customized cabinet. Not that it's that complicated, but it could be. Could be really anything I want. It could be a curved cabinet. So if I drew a circle, did line offset, so I did, let me slow down on that. L for line, O spaced marquee that, or to magic wand it, 0.75. And if I go pick up the properties of this back, that's good. Not let me do it, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this up. And I can take this, copy rotate from the center here, there, lines, so those. One of my favorite tools. Where's my, if maybe I didn't draw that fill. Do that again. Go through there. Now I can get rid of these lines. Draw a circle from the center here. Here. I know I'm being a little sloppy here, but you get the idea. And then I can pick up the properties for this is the top. You can see the 5'8". Click there. Hit F5, move it up. Now it's inset, so we're just gonna take this and move it out, copy. So click, elevate, minus, and just get it away from the other one so it's visible. Now we can bring this down and then make shelves. So you can see here, wow, that's all slabs. So you can imagine with some little thought just how complicated or interesting you can make different elements. So think of the slab is much more than what you would initially think of when you think of slabs. It's a fantastic tool to make frames and cabinets and anything else that has a consistent cross section in plan. So enjoy that.